Iron Bundle has also like really been on the rise lately because it's such a good response to all those grass type Ogerpons.
Yeah, and also Landorus is. Oh, and we're starting. Oh, we have Amoonguss and Ogerpon versus we have the Doggo. We have the Doggo and we have Annihilape. And fun fact about this Hisuian Arcanine, it has Loaded Dice and Rock Blast, which is.
I just realized who it's going to hit with Rock Blast. It might not be the opponent. It might be Annihilape. So, oh my gosh, this is going to be potentially a turn 1 Rage Fist setup on Noah's end.
Wait,
Let's see how Jacob responds because, Amoonguss with Rage Powder could be a really good way to take some of Annihilape's pressure away from its partner.
Interesting. Okay, so Arcanine. Oh, wow. Oh, this is going to be cool.
Okay. This is the Rage Powder. So this Rock Blast will be redirected for Amoonguss. Let's see what Ogerpon is going for here. This is going to be a Sword Dance
setup. Oh, boy. Oh, this is scary. This is scary if you're Noah. Yep, the Rock Blast goes directly towards Sus, the Amoonguss. Interesting name. Don't know why it would be that at all.
Amoonguss actually taking this really comfortably. Like, that's basically been... This has been 125 power of hit so far from like 5 hits of 25, and it only did half to Amoonguss.
And it triggered its Citrus Berry. You're almost upset that it did 4 hits instead of 5.
See what Annihilape goes for. And this is just the Rage Fist really hoping to have that boosted power. This is going to be doing nothing to Amoonguss.
Oh my god, that's less than a Rock Blast hit. My goodness.
So Ogerpon basically got that Sword Stance off scot-free. It's sitting at +1 right now, and I guess it doesn't have the option to Terror to give itself another boost, but that Ivy Cudgel or that Horn Leech are still going to be huge threats for Noah's side of the field. Amoonguss is still in an amazing position right now. The ball is really in Jacob's court right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point in time, Noah has a very interesting maneuver of like, something's going to get hit with a very strong move, and you're probably going to want to protect something, and you're going to want to set something else up. But it's going to be really interesting to see what he does, whether it's the switch, whether it's the setup, whether you bulk up on your Annihilape, whether you try to Rock Blast again, because the Amoonguss could just jam another Rage Powder.
Yeah, and I don't even think Jacob has to go on the offense just yet. He could put up another Sword Stance knowing how likely it is that Noah wants to retreat Arcanine that turn.
My goodness, yeah, that is very possible. Oh, and the Amoonguss gets taken away. So it's going to regenerate, and now it's the Iron Hands here.
Iron Hand's a great way to use... Ooh, Spiky Shield. This is a really conservative play from Jacob. Perhaps making sure that he doesn't have Terra available or anything, so he just wants to be as safe as possible in front of that Arcanine, carrying Rock Blast.
Wow. Well, I mean, that means that Noah got a switch, like, pretty scot-free, I'd say. Yeah.
Iron Hands does have Fake Out pressure, but Noah only had one Pokemon vulnerable to Fake Out on the field, and it's swapping back into Arcanine. This looks like a really safe play on Noah's end, so he might be able to get back into the game based on what move we see this Ogerpon making.
Yeah. Okay, Ogerpon Ivy Cudgel, okay.
Arcanine, the perfect switch for that with a 4x resistance. Ogerpon back at neutral attack, and Annihilape finding itself up to +1 attack.
Wow, this started so smoothly for Jacob, but it is definitely... Oh boy, okay, alright, yeah, that Drain Punch definitely leaves a mark. It doesn't even get any healing because the Iron Hands hasn't taken any damage.
3 of the Pokemon we see on the field right now have moves that can heal themselves. Arcanine is not one of them. Arcanine is now stuck at very low HP in front of a team with a lot of Pokemon that can, finish it off from 1/3. So if anything, it is good for Jacob that he's got this Arcanine whittled down. Ogerpon actually going to withdraw for Amoonguss, which now has Regenerator back up to almost full.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you can protect the Arcanine and just take advantage of the fact that your opponent wants to kill... you just wants to finish off your Doggo, because like the switch in, switch out Intimidate is so good against Iron Hands and Ogerpon. Like that will consistently be very annoying, and Noah could take advantage of that, desire to get rid of this dog. You can take advantage of that. You can switch out, you can protect, you can do a lot of different funky things. Ooh. And meanwhile, Annihilape, like your opponent never wants to hit Annihilape, so...
this is really interesting. I didn't realize exactly how strong this side Rock Blast is, because if you get it into yourself, you're happy. Your Annihilape finally has its signature move ready.
Yeah, and if it
redirects, it's like, well, Amoonguss is just going to be in Rage Fist range at that point.
Yeah.
So I think Noah's actually found an incredibly safe play for himself if he wants to go for it. However, we're actually going to see Cresselia come in, maybe anticipating something like the Amoonguss trying to throw out a Spore this turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this Cresselia does have safety goggles. Okay, so the Amoonguss gets switched out. Let's see if we see this 4th Pokemon, or if it's going to be Ogerpon again.
So, is this a Flutter Mane, notorious user of Dazzling Gleam, and a very safe Protect from the Annihilape?
Yeah. Now that is really nice, because like what is what is this Iron Hands going to do to the Cresselia?
I think that Flutter Switch worked really well for Jacob. The problem is Noah can Terra either of his Pokemon out of, a Ghost or a Fairy weakness right now, but the problem is he might finally be feeling that pressure to Terra for the first time in the game.
Yeah. So what did Annihilape just do? It protected, right?
Yeah, it just used Protect, so it's extremely vulnerable in front of Fluttermane right now.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a nice move where you go Wild Charge and maybe Moonblast into Annihilape, because like they're either switching and it gets taken down, or you can't Protect. Like that's like a slot that you can take advantage of right now.
All eyes are on the Specs Fluttermane right now, but first we're going to see Cresselia use its Terra Fairy to make it so that it's taking just neutral damage from anything Fluttermane can go for.
Yeah.
Really smart play on Noah's end.
You'd absolutely hate to just get Shadow Balled and, go down a Pokemon right now. I feel like this is gonna be the kind of match that once you start getting chipped down, oh, there it is, right into that slot, perfect. The Arcanine has gone down. Very good opportunity for Jacob.
Yeah, even with that resist, I'm pretty impressed that Arcanine went down to that, but I guess just a reminder, Specs Fluttermane does not mess around. However, Arcanine's still putting down an Intimidate before getting knocked out, just to make sure that Cress is taking even less damage and setting up Trick Room. With both Goodra and Annihilape alive in the back, I can see either of these Pokemon putting together a bit of a Trick Room sweep.
Yeah, I can. I feel like, Cresselia is going to have to switch out here, because Iron Hands is the fastest thing on the board now with the Trick Room, and Iron Hands could definitely just throw down a Heavy Slam and maybe mess with the plans a little bit.
I have no idea how strong Heavy Slam is against Cresselia, because this is a -1 Iron Hands. I don't know if Cress is actually afraid of very much.
Yeah, that's a very good point, yeah.
I don't think Annihilape has any stacks on Rage Fist yet, though, so we're still just looking at a 50 power move from that.
Yeah, that's...
So a Moongus, coming in very safely here, I'd say.
Let's
find out how heavy Cress is. The answer is a little bit.
Yeah. Kind of middle of the line there.
The side Moonblast doing over half to Annihilate without even a critical hit.
Side Moonblast Wild Terror. Do you really... Annihilape is mad now.
Noah might have felt pressure to go for this, because I think this might have been his one way of actually threatening a knockout on the Fluttermane.
Yeah.
And hoping that Jacob didn't see it. However, this was at a really large HP cost, and now he's going to have to spend a turn going for this really conservative Protect Lunar Blessing to make sure that Annihilape isn't, out there in the trenches with 0 defense boosts.
Yeah, well, it's rough because, Cresselia threw down a Trick Room, and now your opponent has 2 Pokemon that are slower than your 2 Pokemon. It's kind of unfortunate for Noah.
Yeah, I guess that's really just a strong feature of Jacob's team. Even though he's got these Fluttermane and Ogerpon to really dominate the aggressive speed tiers, we're also looking at slower Pokemon like Iron Hands and a Moongus that can operate well under Trick Room.
Yeah.
So Clear Smoke not doing much into Cresselia. Heavy Slam leaving Cresselia with just 5 HP. Cress going for a Lunar Blessing, and Annihilape has actually gone for an attack here, so let's see what it's going to be.
Well, I'm pretty surprised that the Spore didn't go out on the Annihilape. I figure... I guess Jacob was predicting some sort of a more defensive
Noah would have
play.
been able to clear it with Lunar Blessing before Annihilape even attacked, so it would have been a bit of a null turn.
Oh, that's a good
Even
point.
if Cress survived the turn, it's definitely not going to be able to survive another Clear Smog Heavy Slam combo.
No, not at all.
So this could be a second knockout for Jacob this turn.
My goodness. Oh, okay, so there's a Spore, and then you're basically saying that my Heavy Slam is going to get rid of your Cress.
Yeah,
and
if it
the
can't,
Spore is
that's going to be a big problem.
Yeah, let's see it.
Let's see.
Oh, no!
1 HP this time.
Look at him popping off. Look at Noah popping off in the corner. And that Lunar Blessing just onto Jacob's entire turn. Now Noah is going to be able to retaliate. Retaliate with a Rage Fist here, wherever he
Annihilate at full. It has,
One
this
bulk
is going to
up.
be 2 different stacks of Rage Fist and a Bulk Up at this point, right?
Yeah.
So Rage Fist taking an
there it
easy
is.
knockout on a Moongus from there, finally picking up the first knockout of the game.
It's only 1 stack of Rage Fist, I believe.
It took Moonblast and it took Clear Smog. Oh, wait.
No, Clear Smog
was in the press.
Cresselia.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, I guess 1 stack's enough to go after a Moongus.
Oh, yeah, no.
Annihilape's not a slouch.
It's 100 power Rage Fist, and you're 1.5x. You are a strong Annihilape. Annihilape can be the key to taking care of this.
How many turns of Trick Room do we have left? Is it just 1 turn?
I think it's just 1 turn at this point.
Because Cress, or did Cress only go for Lunar Blessing twice? However, regardless, Ogerpon's in a bit of a scary spot right here. It's very clearly the slowest mon on the field. We're going to see the low HP Cress just withdraw into Goodra. Ogerpon with a safe spiky shield.
Let's see where the Annihilape attacks itself in. Okay, Heavy Slam onto Goodra. Yeah, that's not going to do much at all. I think this is
really good turn from Noah, basically calling Jacob's move perfectly.
Yeah.
Goodra gets onto the field for free. Annihilate continuing to boost up.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Noah is having a lot of really high-value turns, and Jacob is sort of running in his tracks.
Yeah, like, Trick Room's over, and that's great for Ogerpon, but staring down Goodra, who has a pretty strong natural physical defense stat, and Annihilate, who has those bulk ups going.
Yeah.
I do not know what I expect this Cudgel to do. Not too much damage to Goodra, and here comes the Rage Fist from Annihilate.
That has to kill, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been playing a little Annihilape on the ladder.
I forgot, you're an Annihilate expert.
Yeah, I'm an Ape fan. He's a strong boy. He is a strong boy.
That double doing pretty decent damage to Goodra, but the thing is, like, I don't really know if Goodra's the threat right now.
Goodra really doesn't feel like the threat right now. Also, Goodra can take its time. You can vibe, heal up a bit. You still have Cresselia. I mean, I don't know. Like, Fluttermane will come down, and Fluttermane has to either go for, I don't know, what, finishing off the Goodra? I mean, I think you have to go for the Annihilate, but Noah can take advantage of that.
It might just be, because this is a Specs Flutter, I even think Noah might just have a safe double into the Flutter at this point, with just like Rage Fist and Heavy Slam. And I think if either of those moves gets the knockout, Noah's going to be up with like a Cress and one of his Pokemon in the field, and I think they could take on Iron Hands.
Oh, yeah.
This is Moonblast getting a one-shot on Annihilate, so let's see.
Oh, it was a crit, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, this is the Fluttermane going down here, and I think that will be the game if that ends up happening.
Drain Punch.
Oh, okay.
And this is a Shell Armor Goodra, so there's no hope of a critical hit here.
Yeah.
Here's a Heavy Slam. This is
Bam.
going to be a clean one-shot on the Flutter.
Yeah, and now it's Cresselia plus Goodra versus Iron Hands. Iron Hands, mind you, still has not switched out from getting intimidated all those turns ago.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
It's still -1.
Yeah, Goodra just taking that hit like a champ. Even if Cress and Goodra don't look like they're in great shape right now, the thing is, we know Cresselia is faster than Iron Hands in Trick Room. So this is just going to be a really safe Lunar Blessing and, something like a Body Press, or even another Shelter on Noah's end.
Why not just make it so you can't get hit either? I mean, I think at this point, things are pretty cinched up. I mean, maybe if you go for like a Heavy Slam crit on the Cresselia with your Iron Hands, maybe
that
you have
might
a chance.
be the out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's why like another Shelter is so important on Goodra.
Yeah.
Iron Hands is like, I don't even think Iron Hands is out damaging Lunar Blessing right now, or it's going about even with it.
It's -5. Yeah, like it does 5 more damage, because remember, Cresselia was at 6, Lunar Blessing then went down to 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Iron Hands might get there eventually. However, I don't think Iron Hands is going to have that long. This Goodra is getting ready to go on the offensive with Body Press any turn now that it has 2 Shelters up.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can just start Body Pressing right now. There's just very little reason not to. All right, is this going to crit? No, it's
crit.
not. Yeah.
We're loading up damage on Crest slowly, but slowly not cutting it.
Yeah.
And this is a Shelter up to +6 defense on Goodra. Mm-hmm. This Body Press is going to do ridiculous amounts of damage to Hands.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if it's able to get a one-shot, because Iron Hands is like, pretty bulky itself, but still.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. just
just reminding us that Goodra's ready to take over the game.
Okay. So let's see how much this Body Press does. I'm actually really curious.
Ooh, little Terra Fairy Moonblast. Like, maybe he has the combo for Iron Hands. I don't know.
Let's see it. All right, a Heavy Slam. Oh no, Cresselia's gone up. But that's not actually a big deal, because Goodra is +6, cannot get crit, and is about to get the KO with the Body Press. Let's see it. Oh. Something got knocked over on the couch, and that is it. Noah taking game 1. Nice and easy.
The start of that was a little scary for Noah, but he was just able to recover from that, like, kind of bad positioning at the start so well. Just identifying, like, hey, I think Annihilape is the Pokemon that I need to get me out of this. Being kind of unafraid to sacrifice Arcanine towards that greater goal. That was just a huge improvement in play on his end.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a huge testament to, even if you get put on the back foot, it's important to just keep playing steady fundamentals, like playing strong. I mean, I think, like, play to your outs and come up with a general strategy. I feel like we saw Noah just take consistent steps to get back into the game and just like identify the win conditions. And I feel like that was I mean, that was a great showing of like a team that was a little less typical, but like even that Moonblast into the Annihilape was like such a decisive call, which like you know, who are we to say if it was the right one or not? But it was just cool to watch someone have that much of a game plan, you know?
Yeah, and especially, like, I think it says a lot about Noah's game plan that he was unafraid to set Trick Room in front of Amoonguss and Iron Hands, like you identified. And I think knowing that Annihilape and Cresselia could still kind of navigate the game, even through those, like, impressive Trick Room attackers, was just really shows, like, his level of knowledge with the team.
Yeah.
I wonder how Jacob's going to mix it up for Game 2, because the Pokemon that we didn't see on his end are Iron Bundle, you know, who I don't know if Iron Bundle has the damage to play in a matchup like this, and Landorus Therian with a Choice Scarf. I think Landorus is something that I could see coming to this just because it is a much higher damage Pokemon. However, it's often going to have to use a Terra to access some of that damage with something like Terra Blast Flying, so I'm not sure if it's the right play.
Yeah,
and
I just think
has
that
Defiant too. Maybe Landorus is not the call.
No, I think Landorus is not the call because it's going to come down, it's going to do its Intimidate, it might boost the Annihilate, it might be useful instead, but I think that Landorus is a little bit of a wet noodle in this scenario. I mean, like, maybe you bring your Iron Bundle, but I think bringing the same Pokemon with a different game plan is probably going to be what we're going to see.
Yeah. Okay, so this is going to be Crescent Arc on Noah's end against Ogerpon and Iron Hands on Jacob's end. So this is, he started Ogerpon and what other Pokemon last game?
Amoonguss.
Amoonguss, okay. So getting right to work with Iron Hands, I can dig it. Like, this might be, Terra Ghost from the Arcanine right away, just to make sure that this can be a Rock Blast into Ogerpon. I like that play on Noah's end. You know, Terra Ghost isn't something that we see on Arcanine very often, but it's a really important resistance to have against Iron Hands.
Yeah, and you're also Rock type. Like, it is fantastic to just be able to avoid anything that might really wreck your game plan turn one.
Let's see, is this the Arcanine's Terra coming out first? That it is.
So, what do you think this Amoonguss goes for? Like, what is the game plan with the Amoonguss right now? I mean, you're staring at Cresselia.
This could be
with
something like a Spiky Shield and Amoonguss coming in. Yeah, this is just a really safe play to make sure that there's not a Rock Blast coming for the Ogerpon anytime soon. You know, Jacob making some plays that are, like, maybe the last game a little bit too safe, but I think I understand this one a little bit more, just because Ogerpon's such an important part of your game plan, and now that you've got Amoonguss in, you know, perhaps with access to Terra Water to take even less from Arcanine, this could be a good chance for Ogerpon to start going for, you know, perhaps some Sword Stances of its own. Because Cresselia with just, like, Moonblast for offensive coverage, that's not really going to pick up a knockout on Amoonguss or Ogerpon anytime soon.
Not.
Like, I don't think the Calm Mind is making Cresselia much scarier here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, like, something reasonable to do in the meantime, but I think if you're Noah, you know that Jacob knows that you have your Trick Room and might even be anticipating it. So just throwing it off with a Calm Mind instead. Ooh, let's see. Okay, the Rock Blast is going to do about how much it did before, but, like, this is not an insignificant amount of damage. I mean, it's pumping out, like, you know, 40 to 60% of the health on Amoonguss.
Only getting 4 hits instead of 5 there, which is kind of important because it means Amoonguss hasn't eaten its Citrus Berry yet.
Yeah.
So Amoonguss is, like, perhaps feeling very uncomfortable about the idea of something like an Arcanine Flare Blitz here.
Yeah.
Especially because this Amoonguss is using Clear Smog. It doesn't have room for Protect on the moveset.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, Amoonguss is an amazing Pokemon, but it's a Pokemon that suffers with too many good moves, since you're always going to have to cut something. And when you cut the Protect, I mean, it's the kind of situation where your game plan could get really read into. And that's the Terra, and I believe that's going to be a defensive Terra on the Amoonguss. Oh,
no,
it's offensive.
It's Ogerpon going on the offense.
Okay. Oh, look at that beautiful mask.
You know, I can kind of understand this. Like, maybe Amoonguss just accepting, like, that it's going to go down, and the important thing is that Ogerpon gets an attack off this turn.
Yeah, I'm actually so excited. I'm very excited to see what goes down now, because for the first time, and I think this match, Jacob is going on the offensive. Yeah,
there's no damage to heal, no Spore to heal. So here comes Flare Blitz to knock out Amoonguss, and now all eyes are on Ogerpon. Yeah. Is this going to be this is a +2 Ivy Cudgel because it's Sword Stance and then the Embody Aspect boost
this
with
kills
Intimidate
Arcanine.
to drop it.
I think it goes for
easily.
Arcanine. Let's see.
I think Arcanine would be a huge threat to get rid of here.
Yeah, okay.
Is that
Grass? Oh, on the Cresselia, and it's one-shot.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, that is a strong mon to get out of the way.
Oh, yeah. You know, I think Arcanine, like, you know, seemed really tempting as a knockout, but you don't get many chances to one-shot a Cresselia, so you kind of have to take them when they're in front of you, especially when you have something like Iron Hands that can come in and really start operating under Trick Room.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So at this point in time, if you're Noah, you kind of have to play a little bit of hot potato for getting rid of that Ogerpon.
Here's Protect from Arcanine. I'm not sure what Arcanine's protecting from here. Like, perhaps a Wild Charge. Ogerpon able to go for a spiky shield, so that's basically 2 protects this turn. What are your fighting types doing? Wild Charge into Arcanine, and I think this was a bulk up.
Yeah,
so
that's
this
a really
is
good
really
bulk
good
up.
turn from Noah.
This is kind of Noah's opportunity to start making a push back.
Yeah, that was just a really bold call that Ogerpon wouldn't be attacking there, and it paid off for him.
Yeah, no, so much so. I mean, Annihilape has its plot armor, right? Like, no one actually wants to hit Annihilape. Like, he's the main character. Oh, and then this +2 Ogerpon just gets removed from the battlefield.
Flutter is not a very comfortable switch into any of the attacks that we might be staring down right now.
No,
Wild Charge putting
not.
pretty significant damage on Arcanine, like really getting it in range of 1 more attack.
Yeah.
Here comes a Drain Punch into the Flutter main switch in.
Well, I guess I'm not super surprised, but yeah, that Rock Blast takes care of it. Right? Like, this Rock Blast takes care of the Flutter main.
No, not on 4 hits.
Okay,
even on
let's
5,
see.
that might be kind of close.
Let's see it. Oh, okay. All right, so the Flutter main is alive. It is the fastest thing on the field, and now suddenly Noah might be a little spooked.
Yeah, Noah's only got 1 more turn of Trick Room to work with. However, this Flutter can't protect, so it is just going to be doomed to a Rage Fist if it stays on the field.
Well, I think it's just going to Moonblast the Annihilape.
Trick Room is still up for
Oh,
1
yeah,
more.
you're right.
Oh,
Okay.
so Ogerpon actually switching right into Ogerpon. Those 2 Pokemon really just trying to make sure that they use their resists as well as they can. Because an Ogerpon could take this like unboosted Rage Fist pretty comfortably.
Yeah. I mean, it's like +1 with bulk up, but yeah, no, it's not a lot of damage. It's not a concern for the Ogerpon. Ogerpon's got good stats, my goodness.
And it's not like you really want to like Drain Punch the Flutter staying in for bonus damage either. So this is some really good Jacob maneuvering a scary situation very well, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, for someone who doesn't have Protect, you are like really riding out this Trick Room, and now it's over. So Jacob can go back on.
And I think I see what Jacob's trying to set up. I think what Jacob's trying to do right now is to get Ogerpon and Fluttermane together so that he has his offensive sweepers on the field at the same time.
Yeah, so you can only really focus on one at a time. Yeah, just like forcing Noah to the back foot. This looks like it's starting to... I feel like the tides are really starting to turn. It's so funny how seemingly insignificant this Iron Hands is. I feel like it's just... I mean, if it gets a Wild Charge in the Arcanine, I think it really makes a big difference, but...
Yeah, Intimidate, that's a really big nerf to the +1 Ogerpon. We're going to see this Ivy Cudgel go into Annihilape, getting that 1 in 8 chance of a critical hit to score a one-shot.
Wow, that mattered.
That is a game changer.
Huge crit matter.
We do see Drain Punch going into the Ghost-type Arcanine. However, just Arcanine and Goodra, I don't know if they're going to be able to come back against, Ogerpon with a Fluttermane in the back.
I don't think so at all. I mean, there could be some sort of maneuverability and maybe a crit or something, but this is a really rough scenario.
I guess Goodra is the kind of Pokemon that you want to have here. Oh, but the thing is, Goodra can't go for a one-shot on Ogerpon or anything.
Yeah, no, I mean...
Ogerpon even, not attack into the Arcanine's Protect or anything, so here comes Cudgel for Goodra doing huge damage.
Yeah.
And Drain Punch
oh my god. Yeah.
Goodra not getting a break.
No. I mean, I think once you're Jacob and you get that crit, that's like that. That's the opportunity that you're trying to make for yourself. And at that point, you just have to push a little bit harder, and you bring it into a game 3.
Yeah, knowing that Goodra didn't have Protect there, I think that was actually a very reasonable play to go for. It's not like Arcanine can knock out Iron Hands from full.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, Arcanine is not really here to deal a lot of damage. It's here to do the Intimidates.
I just realized something. So this Arcanine's damage felt kind of low to me, and I was wondering, why would you have a low attack Arcanine if it's running Rock Blast? For the Annihilate,
yeah.
Of course. So this might be a really, really tanky Arcanine, and the thing is, that just means that Rock Blast isn't putting out the damage that we expect it to when it's going into something like a Fluttermane, and Fluttermane is just taking the Rock Blast.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see that the Fluttermane lived through that. It just feels like... I don't know, it's a very interesting balance to strike because, when you're doing mouse ape stuff, beat up is always going to be really tiny. You don't really need to focus on the mouse being strong. But if you have something like Arcanine, something that does have a lot of offensive potential, but you're kind of nerfing your own Pokemon to be able to have your Annihilape live, it's a very interesting team building balance to walk, just like this kind of tightrope of you swing too much towards one side, you're killing your own guys, but you swing too much towards the other, and then you're just not doing anything to your opponents.
You know, one thing that I think could be interesting to see in Game 3 is Jacob keeps being forced to switch out of, like, you know, some of his setup Pokemon. Or when I say setup Pokemon, I really just mean the Ogerpon. I wonder if Jacob has any ways to keep that Ogerpon on the field for even longer than he's been able to, and really set up a Swords Dance in the early turns and just take that Ogerpon through the whole game, either with Ivy Cudgel or, you know, maybe something like Horn Leech to heal himself off.
Yeah, I think if you're Jacob, you're leading a Mungus Ogerpon here, because I think if you're Noah, you're going to try to go back to what maybe would work on Game 1. I mean, the whole thing is, I think Jacob can't afford to not bring a Mungus, because if you bring Arcanine, Annihilape, and really set up the Annihilape right away, it's going to be devastating.
Oh, I think both players just have their favorite, like, 4 Pokemon. We know the 4
Oh, no, I mean, like, what they're bringing to the front. So, okay, all right. So Jacob's going to go all out, full blast aggro to try to take care of the Rock Blast Rage Fist situation. But, yeah, no, I mean, so Annihilape here gets one-shot by the Fluttermane's Moonblast, right?
Yep, definitely.
Wow.
And you don't exactly want to use Water Terror in front of, like, Ogerpon either.
Yeah.
And both of these Pokemon, like, you know, might take a double up to get knocked out if they do have to use a Terra, but still, I think Noah's under a lot of pressure here. Whoever gets this turn right is really going to be able to come out ahead.
Well, I think Jacob could just put out a ton of offensive pressure with his Fluttermane and then set up his Ogerpon, but Ogerpon's going in too. This is just a double attack.
Yeah, jeez.
So what is Noah doing? Is Noah just double protecting here? I didn't see what the Annihilape picked.
I didn't either. I mean, double protect would just mean that, like, okay, I don't think that we want this to be a double protect. Arcanine protecting. Here's Shadow Ball into the Arcanine.
All right, so the Annihilape is here to take.
Is this just going to be a Cudgel right for Annihilape?
Oh my gosh, they doubled up into the Arcanine. Wow. That is a risk for sure from Jacob.
And here's a Rage Fist from Annihilape, but with no stacks. I don't know if this is going to be able to get a knockout.
No, it almost never does. This is very interesting. I wonder what...
Yeah, like Noah, even though Noah got the turn very right, he's still not... Both of his Pokemon are still very much at risk here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think... So at this point, we saw him select Terra Water. I think what he's hoping is that this Annihilape is able to live the turn. Oh, okay. Yeah. Live the turn, get rid of the Fluttermane. But if you're Jacob and you're dealing damage to the Annihilape is gone. It's done. I mean, you have a pretty safe Horn Leech, right, into this Annihilape.
Well, Annihilape didn't have Protect last turn, so he could potentially be going for Protect this turn, which would maybe scare Jacob off of going into it.
Yeah, you could always just double up into the Arcanine slot because it just protected.
Yeah. I think going after the Arcanine slot is really tempting, and I think that's what Noah is hoping Jacob is going to do.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
Here's Shadow Ball for Goodra.
Shadow Ball into the Arcanine slot.
You know, Shadow Ball's still doing pretty respectable damage there, even getting a special defense drop. Here's the Horn Leech for the Goodra.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that is, wow. And then that Fluttermane just goes down. For as offensive a start as Jacob got, for as strong as he started, Noah was able to just, I mean, this Annihilape was plot armor.
Yeah.
No one's going to touch him. He's the main character.
Oh, you're so biased in favor of Annihilape.
I don't know what you're talking about. He is simply the main character.
So, you know, Jacob does actually get to recover a lot from that, like, free switch out of Fluttermane, though. Amoonguss is going to give him the potential to, you know, I really think we have to be looking at Ogerpon to kind of recover from the game at this point. If his brings are anything like the previous games, that's an Iron Hands in the back. So really all the damage is on this Ogerpon at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Swords Dance time very, very soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think Swords Dance Rage Powder is just, like, safe. I think Swords Dance and Spore is, like, an interesting...
Oh, you know, you don't really even need to be going for Rage Powder. You're so right.
Yeah. And
it's not like this is Sapsip or Goodra, so it would be very vulnerable in front of that. You know, Shelter's cool and all, but Ogerpon doesn't necessarily need to be critting through Goodra. It does do pretty good damage on its own.
Yeah, I mean, so, like, the Cresselia is going to go for the Lunar Blessing, but that means it's not going for a Trick Room, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're forcing Noah into doing one thing or the other to sort of recover from this spot, because you obviously have a Pokemon asleep, and that's not too great. But Jacob is now, you know... So what did he do with his... Did he Swords Dance just now?
Yeah, it was Swords Dance and Shelter at the same time. So Ogerpon's going to be at +2, and so is Goodra.
Oh, and that's a switch out. Oh my goodness. I wonder if Jacob calls this turn and throws down onto the Annihilape slot.
What's Annihilape doing here?
Resisting a fire-type move.
I don't know if...
Because he was able to kill Cresselia
he could try and out-damage Crass.
Yeah.
You know what? You're very right. Annihilape is actually a really good switch-in for that right now. Here comes the Cudgel. Is this for Annihilape?
Yes, it is, and that's what the switch-in does, and it lives.
Annihilape taking that pretty comfortably.
Main
Nice.
character energy. Oh, but now this is a bit tough.
Yeah, you know, Goodra's just spending a guaranteed turn of sleep here, but the thing is, I don't think Goodra's exactly doing much on the field right now. Like, neither of the Pokemon on Jacob's end really have to worry about a knockout from something as, like, you know, +2 body press is strong, but it's not getting one-shots.
So it's really interesting because, like, Annihilape kind of has to protect against the fake out, but this could just be a really easy Swords Dance again on Ogerpon.
I think so, yeah. I think something like fake out Swords... Iron Hand's actually just switching out. Is this a really huge call on something like Annihilape going for a Protect, or is Jacob even just saying, like, I don't care about Annihilape right now? Well, regardless, he caught the Protect.
Well, Jacob needs to... I think, like, Jacob needs to power up a little bit because... Oh, the Horn Leech. Oh, yeah. Well, I think the whole thing also is just, like...
Gudra getting into one turn and is able to go for a Life Dew.
Wow. Okay. This... Oh, interesting.
Oh, I mean, this is a huge turn for Noah.
Yeah. It's still so tough because a Horn Leech is just absolutely going to destroy the Annihilape.
Yeah, and, you know, either of Noah's Pokemon could try to withdraw into an Arcanine to put down Intimidate right now. Does look like it's going to be Annihilape going out. That definitely makes sense as a response to a potential Horn Leech.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I was thinking the Swords Dance would come out because you know that you're working with an opponent who has Intimidate. Like, he can just keep throwing it around. So I figured, like, boosting yourself a bit more. I mean, but, like, obviously the Horn Leech is so tempting.
Yeah.
All right.
Ogerpon is really going to have to go for a Swords Dance soon if it wants to get its damage back.
Oh my goodness, that's
still doing incredible damage to Arcanine there.
All right, and this Gudra is setting up. This Gudra cannot be crit. The Fluttermane is gone, so there's no more special attackers. And then just an easy Spore.
You know, I think I understand what Jacob's going for. He's saying that Gudra's not a threat to him. He's comfortable isolating it, and he's just going to keep going for these safe attacks into Gudra's partners, and eventually, you know, Gudra's just going to stay asleep for too long. It's not helping Arcanine. It's not really helping Annihilape enough.
Yeah, so this Arcanine is going for Rock Blast, and, like, I'm fairly certain it is slower than Ogerpon.
Yeah, I don't think Arcanine's seeing the end of this turn.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
So Gudra's going to be able to just spend a turn of sleep here. I don't know if Amoongus's attack matters too much here either. It's not like, I guess just Spore to see if, like, Annihilape tried to come in on it.
Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting scenario. I mean, I think if you could get a proper setup with the Trick Room, with your Cresselia, like, if your Cresselia is able to somehow resist this Ogerpon, but I don't know.
Well, Ogerpon is just at +1 right now, so I wouldn't be shocked if Cress can actually survive a hit from it right now. The thing is, it's not going to be able to survive too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a Swords Dance. There's
Ogerpon is just ready to knock out absolutely anybody and everybody.
Well, we're going to have to see right now if this is... Okay, this is a Lunar Blessing, not a Trick Room.
Lunar Blessing, and so what are the speed stats here? So Gudra...
So it goes...
Gudra is slower than Crass, and it just has to go for a body press into a Amoonguss, though.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit expecting Trick Room because, like, you can't outspeed the Ogerpon. The Ogerpon is +3. It feels really tough here if you're Noah.
Like, Ogerpon can just continue to isolate Gudra. I think, like, this has to be for Crass. I don't think Crass is standing up to one of these.
Not at all, no. I don't think anyone is standing up to one of these anymore. Oh, this feels really difficult.
Yeah, like, Gudra... Well, the body press damage is adding up, but the thing is, like, Amoonguss still has a Citrus Berry to go through.
Yeah, well,
I don't think Heavy Slam would be doing much more.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game is pretty sunk. I mean, I think the one kind of opportunity you have as Noah is to set up the Trick Room so your Annihilape is able to try to take out the Ogerpon before it's able to hit you. Because at this point, the Ogerpon is just an unstoppable machine.
Yeah, I think Gudra is just not going to be able to come back from this. Like, you know, Protect and Shelter, I can see why no one would want to go for this, but the thing is, like, even if Gudra boosts up as much as it wants to, Ogerpon can just do the same thing.
Yeah.
As long as Jacob is able to stop an Annihilape attack.
Oh, no,
Ivy Cudgel for Gudra.
Oh,
Noah just staying ahead.
Yeah, that's just a call out. And that is, for as many Shelters has happened already, what, with 1, 2? I mean, that's still a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is just going to force the Goodra to go for a life dew even sooner than it would like to.
Yeah.
And with Annihilape having Burnt Hits Protect there, I'm not really sure what it can do about just like, how can Annihilape save itself from a Horn Leech at this point?
It really can't. I mean, you just kind of have to hope. Yeah, you have to hope that. Yeah, I mean, the Horn Leech is going to hit the Annihilape, and then you just have to hope that your one-man army is going to be enough to get this. I mean, like, with a little bit of leftovers, you're gonna. The problem is you're just gonna get hit with the fake out.
Yeah, Amoonguss and Iron Hands are just gonna keep buying turns for this Ogerpon to like get up to +6 without taking more damage. Amoonguss is like fine with going down next turn.
Yeah.
I also wonder like, would the outcome of this game have been different if Goodra was able to go for shelters earlier on and get this body press knockout on Amoonguss a little bit faster?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well, it's quite interesting because like Goodra has sort of like Gudra's been strong in this matchup, yes, but I wonder if switching it up with like maybe Urshifu or Grimmsnarl would have been like the determining factor, because I think Jacob is really throughout the course of the match. I feel like Jacob's really figured out how to play this one, and Noah has the benefit of having an atypical team, but once it's like figured out, it's kind of more figured out.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Like maybe Jacob's game plan was even like more comfortable with that Flutter getting knocked down the first few turns than we realized, because if it clears the door for like Ogerpon to win the game on its own, that's fine. That's a good sacrifice.
Exactly. And at this point, I think it's just a matter of time. Gudra's just going to get knocked out.
Yeah. I think Ogerpon is at +6 after that turn.
Yes.
Like, I can't say that I've been keeping great track of it.
I think.
+5.
Because it got intimidated once.
Right. So there's Body Press to finish off of Amoonguss, but this just means a free hand switch, and then this can be like Fake Out Ivy Cudgel, it could be Fake Out Sword Stance if it's not at +6 yet. Either way, this is just going to be a really free turn for Jacob because this Goodra can't protect.
Yeah, Goodra just cannot survive 2 Ogerpon hits, and like Goodra can take down Ogerpon if it's not getting faked out this turn, but I think the fake out makes a huge difference.
I think this game just shows you really like one of those dangers of running Pokemon like Goodra. They're not always there to support their friends, and sometimes they're going to let their friends down in front of offensive attackers like Ogerpon.
Yeah.
Wait,
hold on a second.
Over half the Goodra.
Is Goodra faster than Iron Hands?
I think it might be, actually.
Okay, so we're at +6 defense with Goodra. Goodra did just get a leftovers heal. If this was... If Ivy Cudgel low rolls, doesn't kill, and then maybe Drain Punch doesn't get there?
Well, that's the thing. The Life Dew's not going to be able to pull it back.
Okay.
I think that's Drain Punch. Okay, so Iron Hands is going first and just finishing the game with the Drain Punch.
Got it.
So Jacob Mortensen is going to be moving on to 5-0, qualifying for day 2.
And look who we have behind us. Hello. Hi, are you
I was told to go behind here.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that game plan going in? Because in the third game, I was very worried about what was going to happen, seeing Fluttermane go down so early in the game. And at the time, I didn't really think that was part of the game plan.
Yeah, so I realized Noah had to play really carefully around Fluttermane just because he wasn't bringing Grimmsnarl because he couldn't afford to, and it just kind of gets the Annihilape, and he's kind of tricky from the Terra. So I figured he really can only put pressure on with one Pokemon at a time at the beginning of the game, so I just kind of put on as much pressure as I can, go down a little bit early, but force him into a weird position so I can actually capitalize on my Amoonguss. That was the idea.
Yeah, I mean, the Amoonguss really kicked butt there. I feel like that was a pivotal mon, because like even from game 1, seeing the Rock Blast strategy just get shut down by the Rage Powder was
Yeah, absolutely. I got a little lucky in that I think he got the 5 hit that time, so I got my berry, which let the Amoonguss stick around a little longer, but no, I mean, Noah's a good friend. I know he always likes to play this like bulk up, super setup oriented stuff. So I knew Amoonguss was going to be good. Just had to figure out how to use it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you like utilized it really well, especially in game 3. Like it was basically just a wall for you.
Yeah, it's impressive that you're able to figure out what to do against a team like this so quickly when, like, Annihilape isn't something that we've seen in a while. I think there's a lot of people who might see a Pokemon like that and be like, I haven't really fought this in a while.
Yeah, because it was Terra Water, it was all right. If he was in Terra Fire, which I know the Annihilapes were sometimes, that would have been pretty tricky, but I was able to kind of pin him between the Fluttermane and the Ogerpon at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you had a really good balance of, like, only hitting the Annihilate when you need to. Like, that was, that's a really difficult line to walk.
Yeah, I mean, game 1 he got me by self-moonblasting the Annihilape. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, that was sick.
At all.
Yeah. No, I mean, fantastic job. You're moving on to day 2. That was awesome. That was some awesome play. And like, honestly, for game 3, we did not catch on to your strategy until like a few turns after you started with it. We were like,
Oh, look at that.
I'm glad it worked out, because I don't know if that's because I got lucky or because it was actually a good play.
I mean, I think you're doing great.
Yeah, I think like really clearing the way for Ogerpon to sweep the game was like kind of deceptively strong, because it's like kind of a good sign of plays when it's like when it looks like they're going bad but they're actually not.
Yeah.
All right,
And
well,
if nothing else, you can tell your opponent that they were playing into your hand, even when they were reading you.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Great job.
Thank you.